You got me excited, Bulletstorm. I'm as mind-numbed as most by unimaginative military shooters, and was hoping that you would be different, especially after having waved current-gen first-person shooters in front of our faces and laughed at them for being so boring. But you aren't different enough. Same generic campaign structure and level design mechanics, same cover-based combat, same lack of a health bar, same 3-weapon carry limit, same repetitive humanoid enemies, only with better weapons and in a sci-fi setting. When I recover from the reverberating shock that Bulletstorm isn't Painkiller 2, I'm sure I'll find that this game is an above-average first-person shooter, but the game isn't the revolutionary take on FPSs that Duty calls inferred, which seemed to suggest that Bulletstorm would buck some more trends here. Look, let's take a step back. The ingredients of Painkiller were simple. Create multiple unique arenas, fill them with multiple hordes of multiple types of baddie, and provide plenty of ammo for interesting guns to kill said baddies. It had no story, did it? Well, we could ignore it, because like in Doom or Braid, it was contained out with the gameplay area and didn't seek to dick us in the face at every opportunity while we were trying to kill things. People Can Fly have unfortunately decided that a coherent story is just as important as gameplay. As far as weapons go, Bulletstorm succeeds and shows some innovation. There's the standard machine gun with the railgun type secondary fire, a leash that pulls enemies and objects towards you and with a thump attack, an accurate deadly pistol with a flare, a quad-barreled shotgun with an excellent burning blast, a mine shooter thing that wraps around enemies, a sniper rifle with guided exploding and standard bullets, a grenade launcher variant, and the drill gun which sticks enemies to walls and twirls them around. This is all good fun, but the enjoyment they offer is marred by ammo management. Ammo and upgrades require purchasing using special kill points. Naturally, I tried to retain ammo and spent the early passage of the game leashing and kicking everyone, neglecting upgrades because there might have been something super awesome down the road that required more kill points. This is the kind of overrated decision making engendered by current generation FPSs that distracts us from the gameplay. Ammo management is tiresome. I caved soon enough and bought some meaningless upgrades that increased ammo capacity or similar, and eventually I was able to keep my 3 favourite weapons fully supplied, refilling at every vending doodad. But it kept dawning on me that Borderlands did all this with more success, with a larger, if less interesting variety of weapons, and because of its sandbox nature, I knew I could return to vending merchant thingy X or grind baddie point Y for loot at any time, instead of being constantly worried about conserving resources for some mythical BFG available at the next vending machine, or conserving ammo for potential hordes around the corner. So the player never truly knows when another vending machine drop pod will appear in Bulletstorm, although it's invariably after every damn turn. Hey Bulletstorm, why not just lay ammo on the ground instead and avoid this needless busy work? Even your sidekick will yell, "Conserve your ammo!" No one played Painkiller to practice restraint. I know, it's not Painkiller 2, it's definitely not. The mechanics of Bulletstorm's level design is like most current-gen serious FPSs out at present. The game is stringently linear, contriving endless cliched set pieces, barriers, invisible or otherwise, and reasons to connect points on an overlong path through different environments. Vistas of the path ahead will inform you of the main themes of these environments, from an arid desert headed towards a large derelict future city, punctuated by stints in sewers, caves, spaceship ruins, and an underground complex. Ladders and buttons are highlighted with flashes and instructions explaining how they are used, in case you should stray from the set path, which is impossible at any rate. So what? The game makes us weigh risk and rewards of kill point usage, but when it comes to moving forward, it thinks we need bright neon flashing lights to prevent us from getting lost in its corridor. Free will is reined in further by disabling the jump function, the latest victim of the genocide against classic FPSs, in case the player does something game-breaking like jumping off a cliff, or over an obstacle from anywhere other than the middle of the obstacle. Despite conserving your best ammo for potential hordes, there are none. Every set piece is a tool to introduce a handful of enemies, and these enemies are largely the same: angry humans and mutant humanoids, again reminding me of Borderlands except without the dog things or the insect things, and short walls from the basis of combat, and your health bar is absent but you get miraculously healed behind cover, and there are constant quicktime events. It's so generic. The story and dialogue isn't as terrible as everybody keeps saying. Yes, it's the standard fare. Elite Marines get betrayed and turn into rogue pirates against the Confederacy. After a drunken space battle against their flagship, everyone crash lands on a derelict ex-utopia that's been mysteriously overrun by 3 warring factions of mutants. You play a dick, and it's refreshing that most of your crewmates are quick to point out what a brash, irresponsible dick you are. And if you're not told it enough by them, then you encounter a woman to help you escape the planet who will definitely drill the point home. And fair enough, by the end of the game he believes it. The dialogue is marginally better than the banal buddy cop or army lines from most other games, if only because you are playing a dick, rather than a chisel-jawed, all-American hero who is pretending not to be a dick. Yes, there are some needless swears, but it's not as puerile or gratuitous as some reviewers would have you believe. Is anyone else reminded of the story of Firefly and Serenity? Disgruntled ex-army protagonist and a freelance ship crew versus a big corrupt corporate and military power, an ex-utopia with residents either dead or mutated due to corporate negligence, and some strange mystery to solve there? But is the shooting part of the gameplay fun? It's okay. People Can Fly obviously put so much work into the specific ways in which to kill baddies, but they had to keep the types of baddies very limited, with a few unique bosses thrown in. Some of the enjoyment dribbles away as the limiting nature of the corridor-like arenas make the game feel more like a rail shooter rather than something in which you can flail around madly killing things. And do the special kill points help any? Not for me. I'm not skillful, and I was drowning in points by the end despite having bought everything I could for everything. Additionally, a substantial chunk of points are gained through quicktime events, usually looking at things, including the last boss finale, which is reduced to a long series of quicktime events. While it was occasionally satisfying to have an explosion of multiple points fill the screen as a reward for something incredibly skillful I just did, I never bought into the frenzy around achievement unlocking, and they certainly shouldn't form the backbone of gameplay motivation. If you need constant well-dones for your kills, then evidently the kills aren't rewarding enough in and of themselves, which they probably are here, but there were too many distractions to enjoy them in the moment. Added to which are enforced walking dialogues and some instances where control is stolen from the player altogether. I found very little sense of cathartic bloodlust in the mayhem. I've already mentioned the lack of health bars and emphasis on cover-based combat, more snivelling nods to current gen shooters. This is not a revolution in first-person shooting, people, and the disappointment would have been easier to swallow had it not been for duty calls. It is a good enough first-person shooter with some curious gameplay tweaks, positive and negative, and a reasonably interesting setting with some memorable scenes. It's all very pretty, gleaming with current gen shininess, and there's some great gameplay to be had here, but it's drowning in modern FPS tropes to the extent that it rarely shines through. It's not really what was promised, and I'm not sure it makes it worth our while contributing to the EA corporate machine. I wonder if Duke Nukem is the same, painting itself as some different, spectacularly revolutionary shooter, when in fact it's going to conform with all the current gen FPSs out there at the moment. Let's hope not.